How to deal with gaslighting. Tell as many people as possible what's happening. I am not making this up. I am going to cite my sources. So with that being said, hello YouTube, hello next door, hello LinkedIn, hello Instagram, hello. Hi, it's Nicole and welcome to my channel where I get vocal about workplace bullying, harassment, intimidation, and all actions in between. Okay, so listen, today we are going to discuss gaslighting. This is something that I have been unpacking in therapy for the last year. And gaslighting is complex, but you know me, I am going to define, explain, and provide examples as it relates to my personal experiences. So let's get into it. What is gaslighting? A form of psychological manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self-doubt and confusion in their victim's mind. It involves an imbalance of power between the abuser and the person they're gaslighting. Now, gaslighting is something that I experienced with both Ursula, Cruella, the board chair, the sort of kind of not really HR person that they had. Yeah, so I have two examples of gaslighting. The first one was centered around the PIP. And so with the PIP, Ursula convinced me that I onboarded my assistant wrong. It was just a whole bunch of things in ways in which she made me feel as though I was wrong in some form or fashion as it pertains to his first week. And so she convinced me so heavily that I apologized profusely to him. And he's looking at me like, what are you talking about? There's no need for an apology. But my mind was saying, oh, he's only saying that because he's new and he doesn't want to admit that I didn't make him feel comfortable or I dropped the ball somewhere. And again, he's like, what are you talking about? And it really was him being like, sis, I don't know what you're talking about. Things are fine. On Monday, Ursula sent the email saying this is what Monday was going to look like. You followed up with whatever, said that we were going to meet on Tuesday. It was going to be brief. We had our meeting on Tuesday in which you gave me the details on all the things that you were going to send me, and then we were going to follow up and have a deep discussion on Friday, which we're having right now. I don't understand. And so again, I was gaslit so much for her to be able to write this PIP that I was actually believing that I made somebody's first week basically hell. And he had to be the one to seriously convince me, without knowing any backstory, that what I was saying in terms of projecting how someone else made it seem like he was feeling was inaccurate. The second example is still centered around my assistant, and it was with his departure. So my assistant resigned. He sent his email of resignation. 2.5 seconds later, she calls me. So when she calls me, she immediately asks me if something happened between me and my assistant to make him resign. So sis is really going to make it seem like I am boo-boo the fool and have no idea about their interaction and or the fact that he's leaving because of her. But she's asking me if something happened between him and I as to why he would resign. Ma'am, no. Like, the nerve of the question. I was literally looking at my phone like, huh? You're asking me? Like, you're trying to gaslight me into thinking that there is a problem outside of what I know to be true, that you're the problem as to why he is resigning, and that it could possibly be me. Now, these are just two examples. I can be here all day on examples, but that really wouldn't serve its purpose at all. Signs you are being gaslit. The Twilight Zone effect. Victims of gaslighting often report feeling like a situation is surreal, like it's often happening on a different plane from the rest of their life. Yes, 110%. I was often questioning, so how did we get here? Like, that was my infamous question. How did we get here? Because there would be so many different types of variables and situations and circumstances where I'm just questioning, is this reality? Like, is this happening? Am I in the Twilight Zone? Like, is this real? Because I've never experienced certain things in the workplace before. I've never had certain types of encounters, and I had so much self-doubt in myself and what was happening that I just was kind of just questioning everything. Feeling confused and powerless after leaving an interaction. This was me during the PIP. So we had a conversation on Wednesday for her to prep me for the anticipation of the PIP that was coming on Friday. And if you're not familiar with the PIP story, I will leave that in the description box below and also pin it in this video. But after leaving that conversation on Wednesday, I was extremely confused. I was kind of all over the place because, again, there was nothing, no discussions prior, no indications prior that there was a problem of me, a problem of my work, a problem of anything. So I was definitely leaving that conversation confused. Like, so again, how we get here? How did we get to me being written up on a PIP? Or you need to have a conversation with me about the fact that you wanted to put me on a plan with no prior conversations before about there being any type of conflict or situation that needed my attention and my corrections. Isolation. Many gaslighters make efforts to isolate victims of friends, family, and other support networks. Okay, she created silos in the office. However, she would pretend like when we addressed the fact that there were silos, she wanted to correct it, or she wanted to eliminate the fact that there were silos, although she was actually the culprit of the silos. And she created the silos because that was her way of abusing people and we not know about it. So if there are silos, she can abuse somebody over here. The person over there wouldn't know because we're not talking to each other, because in essence, it's not set up for us to. Tone policing. A gaslighter may criticize your tone of voice if you challenge them on something. This is a tactic used to flip the script and make you feel that you're the one to blame rather than your abuser. Okay, so listen. I didn't necessarily experience tone policing, however, everybody else did. Me, I am the type of person that's not really going to fight fair, if that's what you want to call it. So if you are aggressive in your tone, so I have actual tone sensitivity. So if you're giving me heightened vocalization, you're getting this, right? So if I'm giving you nothing, what you have to give me back is the same. You can't be on 1,000, I'm on 0. You're not moving me from 0, so you're going to come down to at least 100. So I never dealt with that aspect. However, I did still encounter the flipping of the script. Like, we will have conversations and somehow it's flipped on to me as what I'm sharing with her is just so far-fetched. Others, though, they really did have that experience of her trying to say that, oh, you're angry. And it's like, first of all, if I am, I probably have the right to be so. However, at the same time, I'm just voicing my concern. I'm not really that angry. I'm just speaking with passion, but it was a way of her being able to manipulate you into thinking you're jumping off of the deep end and, she's in the right. Weird. Withholding. The abusive partner pretends not to understand or refuses to listen. This one is conflicting because I think there is a level of pretending and then a lack of competence. So with Ursula, there are times, yes, I do feel like she was just pretending. However, I think that there was also this level of incompetence. So you can't pretend not to understand something you genuinely do not understand. And Ursula, to be honest, was not the most intelligent individual. And so when we're talking gaslighting, I think there was some, in this particular area only, some moments where she was unintentionally gaslighting folk because she lacked competence. Forgetting, denial. The abusive partner pretends to have forgotten what actually occurred or denies things like promises made to the victim. Okay, so there was a situation that we will definitely delve into later, where Ursula was being investigated. And as a part of this investigation, she and I had a conversation on the front end before, things really took off in a certain direction. I asked her, how did we get here? I also asked her if anything happened between her and the new people that would cause them to have anything to complain about in terms of her. And her response to me was nothing that they would have to go and share with anybody else. Now, that was really a yes or no question. So she wants to pretend as if she doesn't know what's going on or what's happening. And it's like, really? Like you're gonna pretend as if you don't know why specific people have an issue with your leadership, with the way you interact with them, with your tone, with your demeanor, with your work ethic, with your lack of ability to give directions and order and peace. And so she was really trying to do this whole denial, like I don't know what's going on, and then try to make herself out to be the victim when it was the board chair who said that she was going to investigate her. So the board chair decides to investigate you. However, it's everybody else's fault that you're being investigated. Now you're the victim. Yet, also keep in mind, the board chair was trying to make her be the victim as well. But again, we're going to get into that later. But to answer that specific sign, there's the example. Their actions do not match their words. Okay, I'm going to say this as delicately as possible, but Ursula really tried to gaslight the world into thinking she was a little bit more intelligent than she is. So it's almost like 45, right? Saying he went to Penn State. And you mean the state Penn? Because there's no way that is a reality or there's any truth in that. So for her to manipulate a whole for her to state that she went to one of the most prestigious HBCUs, she had a certain GPA, yet she leaves the year off that she actually graduated, which is of importance. Like, who cares what your GPA is? Then you say that you're a salutatorian. It's like the intellect that we have encountered doesn't match any of those things. So the fact that you feel like you need to gaslight people into the fact that that is a reality, I don't think any of us was falling for that one. Like, She may have been able to gaslight us in other areas. That one was just giving sis no. No, ma'am. Identifying gaslighting in the workplace. If a person in a position of power causes you to question yourself in a way that is negatively affecting your career or confidence in your abilities, you may be experiencing gaslighting. If you report workplace misconduct of any kind, you may experience what's called whistleblower gaslighting. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second because I need you guys to hold on to this whistleblower gaslighting for a future video, which creates a situation where the whistleblower doubts her perceptions, competence, and mental state. So this one, of course, is specifically identifying gaslighting in the workplace. And there were so many of us questioning our competence, questioning our abilities, and we're still doing that now. We are still in this space of, am I good enough? Am I qualified, equipped? Like, listen, I have been doing what I have been doing for 15 years. However, because of the gaslighting, I started to just question my work because someone was really, and not just someone with lack of competence and intelligence was able to manipulate my mind into thinking the person who actually has a degree, actually have degrees, actually have experience to back up the education that I have, I was the incompetent one. To add to this, it says when a superior is someone you trusted to handle the problem, instead tries to explain it away and then pronounces that the whistleblower is irrationally overreacting to normal everyday interactions. So this is where the board chair comes in, because when the PIP happened, she agreed to step in. She and I had a conversation, and I told you guys before that I felt her, but I also felt like she was making excuses for Ursula. And so the board chair was also gaslighting me. As I tried to explain to the board chair, what has been going on, she was hearing me, yet also trying to make me feel like what I had to say wasn't really that big of a deal. To add also to that, when I had my one conversation with the HR, she pretty much did the same thing. So for her, it was giving, oh, do you mind if I take notes? Because remember, no one has documented anything. So now she wants to sit here and try to document stuff. And her response was pretty much the same thing. Oh, what you're saying right now doesn't seem like it's a problem. I don't need you to tell me what you are perceiving what I'm saying to be a problem or not. If you're going to document, sis, document and be quiet. However, it was trying to, all parties were trying to make it seem like what we were encountering in the workplace as a result of Ursula was no big deal, just normal workplace conflict, and it's giving, no ma'am. How gaslighting affect your mental health? Gaslighting is meant to provoke uncertainty and self-doubt, which is often harmful to a victim's mental health. If you're being gaslit, you may experience the following: anxiety, check. Depression, check. Disorientation, check. Lowered self-esteem, check. Post-traumatic stress disorder, check. A hyperbolized fear of danger known as hypervigilance, check. Suicidal thoughts. Now, all of these things, either myself or my colleagues experienced. And this is where we started to kind of lean on each other, to motivate each other, to get ourselves together. For me, I would say I was definitely in that sunken place, right? And so there were moments where I'm questioning a lot of things. and the people around me are like gut checking me like, girl, snap out of it. You're smart, you're brilliant, you're capable. And I will say the one that I'm hung up the most on this one is PTSD. Out of this list, I'm living in this PTSD. I've had some wonderful opportunities come my way, but I'm not ready. So although I am working for myself and, I have multiple contracts, there have been opportunities where people were like, oh, you're available? Come work for me. And it's giving, I'm not ready to go into another space working for someone else. To be honest with you guys, I am an amazing boss to myself. I treat myself well. I love on myself well. I appreciate myself. I give myself words of affirmations, and I'm not ready. I'm not ready to step back into a role of having someone boss me. As I said, gaslighting is one of those things that can be difficult to identify or difficult to navigate if you're not understanding that you're in it. It's very manipulative. It's extremely dangerous because you start to fall into those mental health experiences like anxiety and depression and self-doubt and PTSD. And that is not a healthy place to be. It's also not healthy when there are a chain of people gaslighting you in the workplace. So you got the board gaslighting, you got the HR gaslighting, you have the executive director gaslighting. Once you start to understand that there's way too many people gaslighting, you start to question what's really going on. There's an ulterior motive there. There's something deeper there. And you guys, it gets deep. I hope that this video was enlightening and you have a better understanding, if you did not before, of what gaslighting is, how to identify it, and the emotions that come along with it. Because if you are feeling any of those mental health emotions, that guys, get out. Leave, exit stage left, remove yourself, please. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would like to encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, even leave a comment down below if you so choose. And again, as always, if no one told you today, let me be the one to say, I love you. Cheers.